because I have my notes on my laptop right here and my phone right here, and I just saw something blink, and I was like, no, no, no. Okay, so HERstoire focuses on women, women's empowerment, women's health, women's well-being. And why is it important specifically for women, Black women from the Caribbean, to think about their health in a holistic way?
Okay, so first of all, I'm not thinking in terms of Black versus white or Caribbean versus non-Caribbean. I think it is important that women in general focus on their health, because I think women are the glue in our society. Many times we're taking care of our parents or aunts and uncles or even grandparents. So we're taking care of generations above us. We're taking care of children and grandchildren, which is generations below us. And we're taking care of friends and cousins and everything, which is the generation alongside. So I think that we tend to put ourselves last on the to-do list. So it is important that women in general start to focus on their health and healing, and deep-seated healing as well, so that we can continue to contribute to society, because society really needs us to do that. And society needs us to be the best versions of ourselves.
Okay. So now I feel like most of us can hear those things and feel a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit like, oh, I'm not doing all the things. So what are some of the first steps you would tell somebody to do when they're looking to focus on, to start being more holistic about their health?
Okay, so the first thing is really being committed to your health and taking ownership of your health and your life. Without that, there really is, it's not going to get much further. The person has to be committed to their well-being. And I created my process. The way it works is called the body joy method, and it looks at body, mind, and soul joy. So it's three pillars of joy. And the reason I chose joy, because I think the ultimate goal of all of us is to be joyful. Happiness is fleeting. You're happy in a moment. But joy is a deep-seated, long-lasting sense of fulfillment and purpose. So the body joy method was created to look at body joy, which is nurturing your body by feeding it clean food, wholesome, whole foods really, adequate water, and consistent exercise. Then the mind joy part is looking at stress management, sleep, and your core desires, your core values. You need to know what you stand for. And the soul joy part is looking at the connections to something deeper than ourselves, God, spirit, universe, connections to the people who matter to us, and also a connection to ourselves, because you see, many times we don't really truly connect with who we are and who we are destined to be.
Okay, that's all good stuff. All good stuff. So I want to go a little bit more into the physical first, and ask specifically, because you say you did mention that women were taking care of everybody. I want to talk to you specifically as a medical professional about how often should women be getting their general checkup and what that should entail for women, and how does that tie back into holistic wellness?
I always advocate a annual physical where you get a preventative physical. So you're not going when you're feeling sick, but you're going to see when you're well or feeling well if there's anything out of balance. So it's an annual physical. I tend to tell people, do it if you want to use a particular month of the year where you do all your physicals. You do your dental, your medical, everything else, your tune-up. And that would entail your lab test, your clinical exam. And for women over a certain, well, all women should have a clinical breast exam by their doctor, no matter their age, really. I do it on all my patients. If they're sexually active, then a pap smear. And, a general physical top to toe. I look at, the scalp. The mouth tells you a lot. Let me tell you, the tongue can tell you a lot when you look at a patient's tongue and inside their mouth. We really neglect oral health when we look at our patients. So you do a full clinical exam. And as I said, pap smear, clinical breast exam. And you do a history. That's important. What's going on in your life? Where are you struggling? What you're happy about? Any questions you may have. So a detailed history is really an important part of the physical, really connecting with the patient and finding out what's going on and how best we can support them. Then there's the basic lab tests that we do to check your cholesterol, your blood sugar. Vitamin D levels are critical to know, especially since majority of people in the Caribbean, in the world, actually, I would say, are vitamin D deficient. So you do certain labs, and I tell people you need to know your numbers, so you need to know where you're starting from to know where you want to go to. And in functional medicine, which is what I specialize in, we look at optimal levels. We don't just look at a lab form and say, okay, these are red, this is what we look at. We look at where they are too close to either the lower limit or the upper limit, and look at how optimized we can make your health. And then the critical part of all of that, of course, is the management. Do you need supplements? Do you need lifestyle? Everybody, I think, needs a lifestyle shift right now. So what are the changes you can make in your diet? What are the changes you can make in your physical activity? Stress management. How are you sleeping? What's going on in your life? How stressed are you? And if anybody says they're not stressed right now, I want the magic sauce that they have for that. And so that would be I think I've covered all the basics for an annual physical.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you brought up a few things that were mentioned by the participants when they were registering. And there's two specific questions I want to kind of combine into one because I think they're related. One person asked, how can one maintain a balance and still have holistic health? And the other person asked how to find balance in this new normal.
Well, balance it's holistic health is all about balance. We want to balance what's out of sync within you. Balance your numbers, your labs, balance your lifestyle, balance your eating. Because it's not all where you eat clean 100% of the time or you exercise 100% of the time. It's about balancing and doing it in a way that works for you. So this is individualized or personalized medicine, I like to call it, because it's not a one pill for everything kind of thing. Everybody has a unique, what I call a bio-individual profile based on the genetic makeup, their life experience, and where they are, right, and the age, So balance is holistic health. So it comes in, balance is holistic health, and holistic health is balance. It's all about creating a unique management plan for yourself. As my job, as the way I look at it is my job is to partner with you to do this. So I can educate you, I will empower you, and I will encourage you. That's my job. So I'll tell you where things are out of balance, where they're not optimized, where they really are going. So I can see in functional medicine, we're able to see very early where things are going. I can tell you, listen, if you don't take certain things seriously now, you're on a road to diabetes or you're on a road to a heart disease or something based on the way we look at the test. So it's really an incredible tool to add to traditional Western medicine. So it's been really rewarding, I must admit.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. I definitely currently experiencing that with my little vitamin deficiencies. And my doctor saying, well, they're better now, but they're not where they could be. Let's see how we can fix this. And with managing, as you said, my grandmother's cholesterol and explaining to her, well, it was there, now it's here, and you know why this happened, so this is what you have to do. So I definitely can relate to that on a very personal level. Okay, so now I've gotten my mind completely off track. Yes. So people had specific questions about what type of foods would be good to give them good energy. And then we're going to just tie that in with how would you know if you need supplements?
Okay, so let's talk about food first. You want to eat food, one ingredient food as much as possible. Breadfruit is one ingredient. Dasheen is one ingredient. carrots are one ingredient, banana is one ingredient, pineapple is one ingredient, mango and guava. You understand where I'm coming? You want to get a whole foods diet. So the easiest thing to do is to avoid all processed food as much as possible. And anything that comes in a packet or has additives or color, get it out of your body. It's not going to do you any good. The other thing is making each of your meals, if you have a plate in front of you, just eyeball the plate, and half of that plate should be plant-based, either a salad or some fruit or steamed veg or something. A quarter should be very high quality carbs, not the junky carbs. And I'm a big fan of our ground provisions because they do not raise the blood sugar so high and keep them as high in the norm. And I think this is what we should be eating. This is what we grow. And a quarter should be your protein. If you're not vegetarian and you eat meat or chicken or fish, then a quarter of your plate should be that. If you eyeball your plate like that, 80% of the time you're on the right track. The other thing I tell patients is to limit your intake of sugar, added sugar. And you need to start when you go to the supermarket, look at labels. Look for the first 5 ingredients. If sugar is in the first 5 ingredients, you probably don't want to put that into your body. And it's a simple way of ensuring that 80% of the time you're eating healthily enough to ensure that your body gets a certain amount of nutrients. Now, with the stress that we've all been under, especially with COVID and this pandemic, a lot of us are experiencing gut issues because the cortisol, which is the stress hormone that is literally flooding through all our bodies, is preventing us from absorbing and digesting the food as we should. So we're having issues with gut absorption and digestion, and you may not absorb the nutrients like you should. As a result, there's some basic supplements that you want to take, but you want to make sure, like for instance, vitamin D, you want to make sure that you've tested your levels for you to know how to supplement, because there are optimal levels. And I think we're not supplementing to optimal levels in our society. And vitamin D deficiency is linked to depression, to fatigue, to sugar issues, to cancer, to so many things, because vitamin D is not really a vitamin. It's a prohormone. So it's needed for many functions in the body. But before you go and high dose supplement, you want to ensure that you know where it's coming from. You want to know what your blood sugar is for you to know, what amount of carbs you can eat. So the basic supplements would be a good quality vitamin, multivitamin, fish oil for stress management, as well as cardioprotective. It protects the heart. If you're above a certain age, you want to take something called CoQ10, and these are all dosed based on your particular levels. So the basics would be a multivitamin, probably a B complex, depending on what level of activity you have, and if you have anemia and other things. Vitamin D to supplement based on your initial levels. Vitamin C right now is critical as an immune boosting, about 1 gram a day. And for now, I would leave it at that because I don't want people just, getting stuff and supplementing and causing more harm.
Because that was going to be my next question is, should you just jump on and go buy M&C and buy some supplements or start taking it? Or is it more beneficial if you can first discuss that with your medical provider? Yeah,
well, I'll tell you, a lot of the vitamins over the counter are a subpar quality. And what they have a lot of fillers, a lot of toxic additives and other things. We have at our clinic what we call, we do pharmaceutical grade, which you can also get in different places. But pharmaceutical grade are guaranteed not to have these fillers. They're gluten-free, soy-free, non-GMO. A lot of the supplements out there don't quite give you, you don't absorb it enough. The absorption is not as good as it could be. So you have to know the quality of the supplements you're getting. And you can go on certain websites. I can't remember the name offhand. It's just slipped my mind, where they can tell you the quality. It's a third party company that actually takes supplements and tests them to see how they absorb, because they absorb, when you take a supplement, it has to go through your digestive system. If your digestive system is not working well and the supplement is subpar quality, you're not going to get as much as you should. So you want to check that. I don't, if I remember the name, I'll tell you. I just can't remember the name now of the site that actually will give you an objective a view of certain over-the-counter supplements.
Okay, so this is a nice time. We've been talking for a while, and this is a nice time to take a little break and engage the people in our chat with a little poll. So the director of HERstoire, Robin, will pop a little poll on your screen. So everybody, you'll see a little poll pop up, and you'll have some options to answer. And then we'll see what you said. So the director of HERstoire.
Yes, I was just checking to see if I could see it there. So are they going to see? Oh, they're going to see it on their screen.
Yes.
Okay. So you want me to answer those questions?
Well, you don't have to. You can just let the participant answer. So the question says, how often do you see your doctor? Be honest. And the options are once a year, a few times a year, only when I feel sick, only if I'm dying, never. So we're going to get, everyone's going to put in their answer, and we can see, what they're saying. Because last month we had Dr. Remy on, and we did mention being honest with your doctors.
Yes, please be honest. We've heard it all, we've seen it all. Nothing you tell us will make us laugh at you or be upset with you or be shocked by anything you see. So please, we do appreciate you being honest. In my clinic, I tell people this is a judgment-free zone. Whatever you say, whatever you do is actually it's judgment-free.
Yes, and I think last week I encouraged them to get a doctor that they felt comfortable telling the things, because if you don't tell the things, Okay, so we have 4 people who haven't voted yet. We're not going to say who said what answer, and we will not judge you if you go never or only when you're dying. It's totally anonymous. We're not going to be able to say, well, Dr. Beaubrun is a doctor and she said she's never go. Oh, wait, maybe I needed to vote too. Hold on. Y'all, I can't vote. Host and panelists cannot vote. Yay, I didn't mean to vote. That's like, if there's not an option for me, I go when my doctor tells me to come. We're managing many illnesses there. This is a full-time job.
Yes.
Yay, we have the answers. So 50% said once a year, 25% said a few times a year, and 25% said only when I feel sick.
That's not bad, actually. That's not bad. That's actually very good. If they're going once a year for the preventative check, it is really good, because what happens when you go to the doctor when you're sick, we're dealing with the illness and we try to look at other things. But when you're ill, it's not giving us a true picture of your normal state. What I want to know when you're not ill is what your normal state is, what your levels are, what your, iron levels are, and all these things. Because you're going to be sick. You probably have a cold or you have dengue, one of these things. It lasts about a week or 2. And then what happens for the other 50 weeks of the year? That's really what I want to know. I want to make sure that my goal is to help you live longer, healthier, and happier. I don't want you living long if you're unhealthy and you're unhappy. So I want to make you have a really good quality life. That's really, and functional optimally. That's what I want to do. So when you come when you're ill, yes, I will help you, and yes, I will make you feel better. But most of all, I really do want you to, I want to know what's going on when you're not sick, because that gives me a whole heap of information about where you can be heading and how I can intervene to reverse it and put you back on off the illness track onto the wellness track.
Mm-hmm. So, um, we have some reproductive health focused questions. So, one of the questions asks how you can have holistic womb care, and another question asks for some strategies in managing PCOS, which was our second. Which was our
Okay,
second.
so
Yeah, you can go ahead and tell
yeah.
us holistic wellness now.
Okay,
We'll talk about PCOS.
the holistic womb wellness. I'm not sure what the question exactly asks for. Um, I'm not a gynecologist, but I do, women's health. So I don't look at one part of the body. I look at the entire body because the body cannot function as one part on its own. So I need to see what's happening everywhere. So I don't necessarily focus unless you have a specific issue on the womb alone. So I'm not sure what that question is trying to get at. PCOS is hormonal, and I want people to understand that hormones are not only sex hormones. You have thyroid hormones. There are adrenal hormones. And all hormones are interrelated. So when I look at it, I look at where every single hormone is and how they are interacting with each other. So for instance, right now we're stressed. And I can say that pretty much confidently because I think everybody's stressed. And with the cortisol running through our body, it's going to affect how our thyroid glands function. Thyroid gland is really one of the master glands in the body, and it's located right in the neck. And if it doesn't function properly, then it affects so many other things, including sexual health and sexual hormones. So when you look at PCOS as only sexual hormones, I think we're missing a bigger part of the picture where we want to see what else is happening. What's happening with the adrenal glands? The adrenal glands, and it's called the HPA axis, the hypothalamic pituitary axis, because the adrenal glands are the stress hormones. If we are chronically stressed, and we are going to be burning out the other hormones in the body, because no matter what, the body will produce cortisol to keep us alive at the expense of all the other hormones. So PCOS is a dance, and it's not just sexual hormones that I think we should look at. We need to look at all the others. If you are stressed, your PCOS will be aggravated. Lifestyle is a critical part for PCOS as well. Your diet. What are you eating? I always tell people my diet is as much as possible no gluten, no sugar, no dairy. Because these maybe 50
When
years ago, we
when you
could
tell
have.
when you
Sorry,
tell people that, do they ask you what do you eat? Because that's what they ask me.
yeah, what do I eat? Well, I eat fish, I eat chicken, and I eat my ground provisions, and I eat lots of vegetables. There's a lot of foods. I mean, life is not about macaroni and cheese and rice and peas and stuff. There's so many other things we can eat. We have cassava, we have dashin, we have yam, we have kush, we have tanya, we have breadfruit. What else? So many ground provisions we have at our disposal, and they're readily available, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
fresher than some of the other foods the processed foods we're eating. We have lots of vegetables here. You go to the market and you see an abundance of multicolored vegetables. Why aren't we using more of that? And we have to learn to modify the foods that we eat. Breadfruit can be made into tacos. Breadfruit can be made into lasagna. Breadfruit can be made into so many things. So can
Pizza.
dash.
I've made
So
breadfruit
many
pizza.
things. Yeah, you can make a pizza based with breadfruit.
I
We
did.
just
It was
have to
good.
adjust it and learn more about how we can use our indigenous ground provisions to actually feed ourselves in a healthy manner.
Yes, great. So, um, we just want everybody to know that we will have another poll, and we will be giving away dun, 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 a Kindle copy of Dr. Beaubrun's book.
Ooh.
Because
Well, if the person is in St. Lucia, I will give them an autograph copy.
look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Okay.
So I
So
just upped for you. They can get an autographed copy of my book.
Woo! Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? Y'all hear that? We getting fancy up here. Okay. Oh, wait, it's not a poll. Okay. Well, Robin is in charge. I'm in charge of the talking. Robin is in charge of the behind the scenes. Dr. Robin Shari Wright, who is co-director of HERstoire. Okay. Gather yourself. Robin, gather yourself, Mo. Gather yourself. Okay. Um. So we've talked about food, and we've talked about food. We've talked about supplements, but we forgot to talk about mind and soul.
No, we haven't forgotten. We just haven't gotten there yet. We didn't forget. We're getting there. We're getting there.
I'm going to admit I forgot.
No, I won't forget.
So here we are. We're going to talk about mind and soul now. What are some of the ways? So we've talked about how to feed our body, how to get our bodies into the optimal health. But like you
we didn't talk about exercise. I'm not getting these people out of the exercise excuses. When the gyms got closed earlier this year, people said, "Oh, how do I exercise?" And I said, "We have body weight. Everybody has a telephone or access to some form of online something. And if you don't, before we had gyms, what did we do? We went out and we walked, we ran, we played around the place. I know as a child, I was climbing trees and doing all kinds of things. It's about making physical activity a consistent part of our lives. And if you have access to online, there's so many YouTube videos. I tell you, if you want to mix it up, so you have to do aerobics. You want to get your heart rate up. So you can run, you can do aerobics, you can do, I love Soca Fit, and Soca Fit is online. I run, I do so many different things. So we have that. Then you want to do muscle development, especially in women. I think women are neglecting their muscle development. Lift weights, ladies, please. I'm not telling you to become a bodybuilder and get muscular. I want you to be able, when you lift up your grocery bag from in the supermarket, that I see a little bit of a thing there. That means that your skeleton, your bones are being supported by muscle. And if anything is going to inspire you now to lift weights, and you don't have to go buy weights, you can lift bottles of water. The 1 liter bottles, you can fill it with water and you use it as weights. You can take the big ones and use it as thing. You can hold it and do it. And there's so much of that. Studio Fit 911, I keep mixing it up, but Susie Clovis, she has an amazing, she's on Facebook and she does that. And she does a backpack exercise. She did a broomstick exercise where you use the broomstick to exercise over the thing. So I think we need to ditch the excuses. We can get out there and get our heart rate going, get our muscles really firm and toned and sturdy, because muscle burns more energy and burns more fat. So you want to lose weight, you want to build muscle. So that's critical. And
one moment, if everybody could make sure that your mic is muted, we're getting some feedback. Oh, well, not you, Dr. Beaubrun, but everyone else. That would be really cool. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, so yes, we're talking about exercise.
Exercise is critical. It has to be consistent, right? I find that in January, I'm going to see a lot of people out on the roads walking. By February, the numbers have decreased. By March, I don't see anybody really. Because everybody makes their New Year's resolutions. And then by February, March, it's a lot. So start slowly and make it consistent. You can do 10, 15 minutes a day and build up. Okay, don't go from nothing to go and running on the side of the road, because you will either hurt yourself or do something else. So.
Yes. And I also want to mention what you said about okay, the thought is running around in my head about doing things to get your heart rate up, because I know when I go walking, people tell me you're small enough, you don't need to walk. But so people sometimes will start walking and they'll not lose weight, and they think they're not doing well, they're not progressing, but they haven't noticed if they've built muscle or if
There
they
you go.
breathe better, or if they can go up the stairs better. So I also want to bring that up, so that people.
Cardiovascular conditioning is key.
So that people know like the goals, because sometimes people think the only goal of exercise is to lose weight, but we can have different goals, like you said, having muscle tone, being able to lift your groceries, those kind of goals as well. That's part of the holistic approach. Now we're running out of time. We have about 15 minutes left, and make sure we I want to make sure we get on those mind and body and how we can take care of those parts of our
Yep. So
being.
let's go to mind joy then. So the second pillar in the body joy method is mind joy. And right now it is so critical that we manage stress. That one, we acknowledge that we are stressed, and two, that we find ways of dealing healthily with stress. What I found during the lockdown was that a lot of people were closet drinking, and they were using wine and alcohol to numb themselves or to make them feel better. And I just want people to be aware that, especially in women, alcohol will make you put on weight, will affect your cholesterol, will affect your heart, will affect your liver. And the liver is a key organ to detoxify. And if you mess up your liver, you're not going to, all the junk we're eating and breathing and putting on our skin, you have to be careful, right? So I want people to understand that there are healthy ways of dealing with stress. And the first one is acknowledging that you are stressed, and then deciding how you're going to deal with the stresses in your life. You can ditch them if it's available, if it's possible. You can delegate them. So ask for help. Reach out and ask for help. Those of you who are working from home and dealing with your children at school and homeschooling, I don't even know what to say to you except that I bow before you and I honor you, because I don't think I could do that and remain sane. But reach out and ask for help. Get out into the garden if you can, and get into nature, go outside. So for me, I found that what helped me a lot during lockdown was I got up and watched the sunrise almost every morning. And I love doing that. I just love seeing the colors of the sky change. And then you just see the sun coming up and it's almost like, oh, hello. And you realize it's a brand new day with new opportunities,
Like, just for me, son, you're only here for me. That's what I do when I watch the sunrise. I'm like,
Yeah,
son,
it's amazing. If you can access to the beach and go early when there's nobody's there, or you could walk along the beach. There's so much. Spend time in solitude. If you have small children and you just get up maybe 20 minutes before they get up, and just spend time in prayer or meditation, deep breathing. And there's a simple tool if you're really stressed and you feel that you're not coping well. It's called square breathing. And it's really, you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, you breathe out for 4, and you hold. It's a square. The other thing is that you could take a deep breath in for 4, hold for 4, and breathe out for 8, double the time of the breathing. And you can do different variations of that. Sleep is a critical part of the mind joy. Sleep is when our body cells repair themselves. And if we don't get into deep restorative sleep, we're not allowing our cells, especially brain cells are detoxifying and regenerating and getting rid of junk while we sleep. So if we're not sleeping deeply and we're not resting well, we're not allowing our bodies to do what it needs to do. And that can be a major problem with the rise of things like Parkinson's and dementia and all of these things. We need to focus as much as possible on getting enough sleep. And each person has a different sleep need.
okay,
And you
I
want to
see.
sleep hygiene as
I see we have a hand raised in the chat. I just wanted to acknowledge it. And then I wanted to ask a quick question of how do you know if you're getting deep, restful sleep?
Or you'll get up feeling vibrant and alive instead of feeling get up feeling calgo. You get up and you're like, oh boy, I can't believe I was in that bed for 6 hours or 7 hours and I still feel I could sleep some more. And I can tell you from experience that has happened to me, especially during those times. And I get up and I'm like, oh, I can't believe it's 6 o'clock. And my body is primed that as soon as that sun starts to come up, it's as if my body rises, and it's like, okay, whatever happens, you got to get out of bed and get out there. And I do a 30-minute meditation and prayer practice every morning with the sunrise. So
Yeah.
there are days when you get deep restored to sleep, like the sun looks immensely bright, even the pinks and the blues in the sky, and you just feel the thing, and others like, yeah, right, okay, hurry up, sun, come up. So your body knows when you've had enough sleep.
Yes, I find personally I have trouble explaining that to people because I have fibromyalgia, and a big part of managing that is making sure I get restful sleep. So I'll say to people, huh, it's 8:30, I gotta go. And they'll be like, it's 8:30. What? I'm like, you don't understand. You don't
That's your
understand.
body. Yeah.
I have to start winding down so that I'm not anxious when I fall asleep so I can sleep.
Yeah.
So I want to acknowledge Val Salary, who has a question. I hope you didn't accidentally do the hand raise. This is my first time dealing with a hand raise. What do you do?
Allow her to speak, unmute her.
No, I think there we go. I think Val, you can go ahead and mute yourself and then say your question. I don't.
No.
Okay, I think that was an accident, so I didn't
Okay.
want to not acknowledge a participant. So we were talking about making sure you deal with your stress, whether it's
Yeah,
through
absolutely.
delegating, asking for help, um,
Ditching. Just get
um,
rid of it.
meditating, doing your prayer practice. Okay, so time check, time check. Okay, we have 10 minutes left, which means that's just enough time for us to talk about how do we feed and take care of our soul.
Okay, so soul joy, and I'm not being religious here. I'm being very it's more about spirit and being in spirit. And if anything, this pandemic has taught us the importance of believing in something guiding our lives. And I tell people that the pillars of the soul joy are connection with something higher than yourself, whether you want to call it God, universe, Buddha, Jah. That's your thing, and that's fine. And I think we have to be tolerant of everybody's belief. But we have to believe that there's something guiding us, supporting us, comforting us in times like these now. And that in spite of we can ask, what's this pandemic about? What is the purpose in the pandemic? And I had a really beautiful interview yesterday with I'm going to be on a podcast. I think it's on Friday, and I was telling him that there are many times during this year I've questioned why, and he reframed it and he says, "Why aren't you saying what? What is this pandemic showing me? What is it asking me to do? What is my purpose in this pandemic?" And it was like a major aha moment for me, where it was like, you're right. Instead of staying in the why, let's move into the what's. What can I do to change somebody's life? What can I do to transform my health? What can I do to transform my family's life or my friends? How can I help? How can I be of service? So this is a critical part where you connect with something greater than yourself. I think now, because many of us have been in lockdown, we have actually been connecting with our families more. That could be good or bad. I predicted that there would be some incidents with husbands and wives and domestic. And I wore orange today for violence against women. That's as close to orange that I could get in my wardrobe today. But we need to connect with the people and truly connect. You see, we connect to these things, right?
Mm.
We know we're always on that. We know what's going on the other side of a screen. But do we see into our loved ones' eyes? Do we see who they are? I mean, this pandemic gave me a beautiful opportunity to spend time with my adult children, to have all three adult children in the house and see them as adults and people with ideas and opinions. They're not the little children I could influence anymore. So they were big people living in a house with me, and that's the blessing of 2020. So the connections with the people, truly connect and reach out. We may be isolating at home, but we don't have to be totally isolated from each other. We have this beautiful opportunity. We could do Zoom calls with family. We could do FaceTime. There's so much we can do to connect with the people in our lives and tell them, how much they mean to us. Reach out, forgive people as well. We do not, and I think the key factor of forgiveness in healing is not stressed enough. Many times we are quick to forgive others for what they've done to us, right? So somebody hurt you 20 years ago, all of a sudden you say you will forgive them and you move on. Great.
Not me.
Okay, well, you will decide if it's the right time or when it's the right time, because remember, they may have hurt you, but you're the one carrying the hurt right now. Forgiving doesn't mean that you are saying what they did to you is right. You are actually leaving them on their path and moving. You've actually just elevated yourself and say, listen, this happened. You chose to do this to me. I am choosing now to release myself from this connection.
I like your definition of forgiveness.
It's not about saying that you hurt me, you abused me, you beat me, you lied about me, you ruined my reputation. Yes, that happened. You chose to do that, but I am now choosing to move on and leave you in your ditch. I am elevating myself and I'm going above that.
Okay,
and don't look back. Don't look back. You're going. I mean, if they come and they want your forgiveness, and you don't have to tell them you forgive them, you don't go into them at all. You're just choosing not to have that connection. It's like cutting a cord. You say, I'm done with you, and I've moved on. I forgive you for what you did. You didn't do me well, but you know what? I'm gone. I'm done with you and I'm moving on.
Yes, it's just, I find in our society, people think, I forgive you, you are my relative, so that means I still should
No.
embrace.
You don't have to have any connection with them. You have no communication with them. You just choose not to allow the situation that happened to rule your life anymore.
Yes, I agree with that.
You
Definitely.
understand? You're just moving on. They're there and they did something. You say, okay, you did it. Their path, whatever has to happen will be dealt with, but you're not carrying that burden anymore. You're moving on and you don't have to have any more communication with them.
Mm-hmm.
Other thing is forgiving ourselves. We don't forgive ourselves often enough. And I am guilty of that, where, you do something and you think and you overthink, I should have done this, I should have done that. But you forgive the person from 20 years ago, but you're not forgiving yourself from 20 days or 20 hours ago. So we have to allow ourselves to feel worthy of our self-forgiveness. And that is a critical part in healing ourselves.
Yes.
And then finally, the connection with ourselves, which is part of the self-forgiveness, where we really get in touch with who we are, our purpose in life, what we want. This is a time of year coming towards the end of the year where I usually take a few days to myself, reflect on the year that went by. It's going to be very deep, I guess, because there's so much that happened beyond our control. Probably make some plans for the year to come, but if anything, 2020 has taught us that we need to release our attachment to the plans. I had so many plans for 2020, but maybe they didn't materialize in the ways that I envisaged, in December 2019. But there's so much that happened in 2020 that, man, I don't think we would ever have imagined it. So it's good to connect with our values, with ourselves, with who we are, because we change constantly. The person I was 15, 20 years ago is no longer. I mean, look, the hair's gone. I just look at myself and realize I'm just embracing the grays. I decided that I don't think I want to color my hair anymore. But it's a beautiful journey when you decide to embrace the body joy method and discover the joy of looking, feeling, and being well. Many of us are existing in a space where we're not well, but we don't even realize it. And not until you get to a space where you feel better, you say, my gosh, for 20 years, I felt so crappy. but it became the norm. You know, if you don't have it's just a subtle imbalance. Maybe your thyroid is a little off, or your adrenal function is not quite right, or you're not processing sugar and carbohydrates properly, or maybe you're intolerant to wheat and gluten. And once you start, you know, listening and tuning into your body, there's so much that you see. Your life changes, you feel different. You know, these chronic headaches and all these things are, you don't have to live like that. Those people going through menopause and perimenopause, you don't have to live like that. There are ways we can help. You don't have to accept the aches and the pains. You know, we can try other methods.
Definitely. I tell my mom and I, we were a big the word is missing, this going, advocates for half your plate is vegetables. And I tell my mom, so many people are angry, and you know, people think they have a bad attitude, but they're either in pain or they're not being properly nourished. And I've had clients. I had a client, she only used to do yoga with me when I used to do at the community center with seniors once a week, and she wasn't even there every week. And she said after 2 weeks she stopped having hot flashes, and this one came, it went, and I'm like,
yeah,
how? But like, for some people it can make such a big difference.
oh,
And
yoga makes an amazing difference in our lives. And it saddens me that not enough people are taking advantage of simple yoga poses that they can do. I mean, if you can't get to a class, I'm sure you did some things online, people can go and read about it, but they don't truly believe in the power of these are ancient tools. Before we had Western medicine, before we had medication and pills, we had Ayurvedic medicine, we had traditional Chinese medicine. These are what they use to help people stay well.
yes,
And save lives. And there we are, just poo-pooing the old things and saying, oh, yoga doesn't work, or acupuncture doesn't work, or whatever. And I know from experience that they are amazing tools.
Food. Our ground provision is poor people food, and you know,
Well, let me tell you, last night I had some good poor people food. I had chicken backs and banja and a lot of veg. So I had some good poor people food, and I think I'm going to have some more tomorrow. Nothing beats a good stewed chicken backs and some really nice quality white yam.
I like my Tanya, my green plantain, and my lentils with whatever meat. That's what
I don't understand. There's so many children now who have never had ground provision. So I told somebody, I said, well, what do you feed them? Oh, I give them chicken and fries. And I said, so what about some mashed green figs? Oh, yes. I'm like, but that's what we ate as children. You know, you mash a nice green fig with some butter and you put some chicken sauce over that. Give that to the children. Why are you going to get fake food for the child?
My goddaughter, let me tell you, would hold her green plantain in her hand and eat it like bread. And people would say, why is that child eating that? Excuse you, it's food. She'd hold a tomato in her hand when she was like
it's a fruit.
2 years old, and she said, I want tomato, chop it up for you, no, give it to me like that. Okay.
Yeah. I eat it like that sometimes, a nice ripe one with a little salt. Oh, it's amazing.
She would just eat it like that. Anyway, we're going off track. I could talk to you for hours now. I just wanted you to know the chat is blowing up. Jessica is like, I like this doctor.
Thank you.
And people are really enjoying it. I don't want us to not tell the people how they can find you, where they can find you.
Okay, so I've opened a fully integrative, functional and integrative medical center in the Rodney Bay Medical Center, and now I have to say it's next to Diamond Girl in Rodney Bay. So that seems to be where everybody knows. Everybody knows Diamond Girl. So it is in the same building on the ground floor as Diamond Girl.
Don't get me started about, don't go even, you know what?
Everybody knows Diamond Girl. Everybody goes there. You get everything you want. So
let me tell you.
I say, okay, it's next to Bay Gardens Hotel. And you say, oh, and they'd look, and I said, okay, Diamond Girl. Oh, yes. And the eyes light up. So now I just tell everybody it's next to Diamond Girl. And it's in the Roddy Bay Medical Center. I'm on, I have a website, tanyabeaubrun.com as well. You can find, I have some programs on there. Facebook, Satya Integrative Medical Services. That is the name of my holistic, integrative, and functional medical practice. That's the name of it. Now, as a yoga teacher, you'll understand I chose Satya because it's Sanskrit for truth. And I believe very strongly that as women, everybody really should live their truth. But women in particular have had years of the world telling them what they should eat, what they should wear, what they should say, how they should dress, you know. And the time, I think, is coming where we have to step into our purpose and power and speak our truth. It doesn't matter the age. It's the time of the feminine energy coming to, and even men have to step into the feminine side of ourselves, because we have a masculine side. And in the 80s, I hope I'm dating myself, many of us had this, you know, we wore big, well, they wore, I didn't really have that then, really big shoulder pads to be powerful and masculine, because
I hated those.
we thought that that's what, and that's how people got ahead really in the corporate world. But I think it's time for us to embrace the softer side of ourselves, the intuitive side. Many times I'll ask a patient, what do you think is wrong? And they know, the body knows. They know you have an inner wisdom that will tell you what's wrong or something is wrong. You know, and I tell people with breast, how will you know? You will feel something, you will see something, but you will know something. You know, people come, something's not right with my body, something's not right with my breast. I just don't feel right. Something's not the same, because you've lived with your body all your life. You will know. So we have to start paying attention to these little signals that our inner wisdom sends to us. You know, your gut tells you something. Pay attention to that. It's very rarely going to lead you. In fact, it never leads you down the wrong path if you pay attention to your gut. So the time has come, I think, for us to step really, truly, powerfully, and purposely into our truth.
All right. So we had some we actually have people from as far as London.
Oh,
and
wow.
if I am not mistaken, Janine is working with us on a collective self-care program for advocates.
Okay, great.
Yes. Okay. So just to confirm, the book we'll be giving away is Bubbles, Buddha, and Butterfly. Yes. Okay, so here's the question, y'all. Get your fingers ready, because you're going to have to type the answer, okay? The first answer that pops up on my screen will win an autographed copy of Dr. Beaubrun's book. So, okay, Robin wants it exciting, and she wants people to be able to shout it out. Robin, how we will know who wins if there's no? Type it. I'm sorry if that's not accessible. Stretch the fingers. Borrow some fast typer in your house, okay? Here we go. Y'all ready? Okay. The question is, what are the 3 pillars of Dr. Beaubrun's body joy method? Type.
Can I see in the chat?
Yes, if you touch your screen.
Yeah, I have it. I can see. So where is it?
So if you touch your screen, I have to press the 3 buttons on my screen.
Yeah, I'm seeing the screen, but I'm not seeing. Body taking long to answer. But it's a long answer. Honestly, it's a long answer. Because they have to type. Olivan.
Okay. So Olivia said, mind, body, soul.
Mind, joy, body, joy, soul, joy. Mind, body, soul.
All right. And let's see. We also have some other answers. I want to acknowledge them. We have Maria Fontenelle, exercise, healthy eating, soul joy. Good try. So how would you like Olivia to
She
contact
can reach
you?
out to me on Instagram or Facebook,
Okay,
on
so
Messenger, or on. Is she based in St. Lucia?
yes, she is.
Oh, thank God. Okay, that's easy to get the autograph copy to her.
Yes, she is. Okay, so we've gone over our time since we started late. We went a
We
little bit
started
over,
late, so
but we
on.
have to recognize that Dr. Beaubrun is very busy. Also, it's getting past my time to people. So I thank you so much. Just to recap, everybody, holistic health means taking care of ourselves, our body, our mind, our soul, doing all the things, eating well, touching base with our medical professionals to make sure we have optimal levels of our vitamins, taking care of our mind, taking time to de-stress, and taking time to feed our soul, whether it's connecting with others, with a higher power, or being of service.
Yes.
So that's basically what we went over. And I'm telling you that because, friends, we have a little exit poll before we leave, one more poll, and then we can allow you to go and have the rest of your day and take some of these
Okay,
things
so
with you.
I've just been inspired. So if they want to come and see me, we have our supplements. I'm going to be doing some packages in January. So if they come via this, we will give them a discount on the supplements that we have. So if they come and they have mentioned that they came through that, then that would be fine.
Ooh,
So
y'all
they'll get the supplement. It's a basic package. We have a multivitamin. We have, it's the immune boosting package or wellness package. And we're going to need it coming in January. So in January, I'll be releasing some new packages for that. So they can avail themselves of that.
Okay, and just touch base with us and we will remind the participants when you do really.
Yeah.
Okay, so
but the participants, once they come in, they also can just tell me, they were under HERstoire chat, and then I'll remember that.
Yes. So we have the first question. After this session, do you feel more informed about how to take care of your health holistically? Definitely. No, not at all. Yes, but I still have some questions. And then we'd like you to select the chats you attended. So we had our first chat, STIs, the second chat, PCOS, the third one, breast cancer, and this one, holistic health. And then for our Wednesday wellness services, we would really like to talk about this some more next year. So tell us what type of topics you'd like to see. Sexual health, reproductive health, general women topics, feature different women, self-care, mental health. Let us know. All right? So let us know. Go ahead, do that little poll for us. And I can entertain y'all.
You're going to sing?
I started doing kids yoga